Hello, and welcome to the show. This is just a short intro before we begin the episode, which I'm sure you will enjoy. We have a few things to share which are specials this weekend. If you're a writer and love the process and inspiration of writing on a classic typewriter, you can experience this magic opportunity by purchasing your very own typewriter. We do also have vintage or antique typewriters. Or if you already have a typewriter and it's broken, we are able to repair it so that your writing process can be that much more beautiful and enjoyable. Whether you're sitting at home at a cafe or traveling the world, you can now be motivated to write anywhere, anytime. Next, staying on the topic of writing. If you would like to purchase my phone book, they are now published and available. The Narcissist Recovery Guidebook, as well as the Grand Soul Awakening calendar collection of inner child poems on friendship and healing, as well as Divine Love Lessons, a poetic love story of returning back to your core self and a human journey of understanding your higher power, which has a touch of synchronicity, numerology, ascension patterns, spiritual insights to soothe the consciousness and support the ego into pure, authentic soulhood. And it's a great gift for yourself or for a friend who appreciates the art of poetry and story. Next, you can order the personalized art painting, which is perfect for birthday gifts and holidays. And it's just a great opportunity to become creative and to inspire the younger generation or adults as well. And you can also decide which kind of art pieces, which can be seasonal or biblical or a Disney character. So it can be anything that inner child wants to find for. Next, tutoring is also available from grade school to middle school to high school to courses. We have both the math, reading, writing, essay help, resume help, college admissions, essay help, all kinds of tutoring. Last but not least, we have virtual ballet lessons and classes available for all ages and all levels. There are ballet bar workouts included, and all you need is just a little bit of space and a chair or something to hold on to. And this is going to be with accompanying classical orchestra music to bring a sense of levity and joy and just fun overall, while also strengthening the body and adding flexibility and grace to your daily posture. And I have a unique experience as I grew up performing at Lincoln Center with the York City Ballet, with my City Ballet, with Alvin, Ailey, American Dance Theater, and also at Madison Square Garden. So this unique mix of artistic expression has inspired me to create a whole list of ballet choreography, ballet classes, and to inspire people to come along on the journey to awaken their appreciation and their gratitude for body movement and body positivity. And I make sure to share this with everybody, and everybody is open to join. It's available for everybody. And we focus on creating elegant movement to the rhythm of the music, which makes you feel comfortable in your own space, at your own pace, and in your own skin. And this gives you an opportunity to enjoy the journey of imagination, beauty, integration, and for you, a sense of gratitude for yourself, for others, for music, and for movement. Classes are in session and all are. And if you would like to have me on as a guest on your podcast and would like to be a guest on my podcast, please do let me know. And I am also collecting new interviews with upcoming. And for information on any of the things that I have mentioned, if you would like to participate in, or to purchase, or to just join the community, please send me an email at growth and grace mindset at gmail.com. tackle all of the logistics of how to say. Enjoy the show. Welcome to the Growth, Grace, and Gratitude podcast, where we talk about all things mental health, wellness, positive psychology, inner child healing, spirituality, and so much more. And today we will talk a little bit about everything, whether it's consciousness, love, unconscious love, perhaps the journey of ascension within the awakening spiritual path. And we have a returning special guest, Alex Nielsen from Deep Wisdom over on X. And we actually had a podcast a few months ago, and we talked a lot about like philosophy, journaling, meditation, wisdom, and stoicism. So I thought now it would be kind of a great opportunity to add a layer of spirituality, of love, because I feel like on the journey of like meditation and finding the Zen self, love is such like a big aspect of it. And it's like as we're going on the journey of self-discovery and self-awakening, it's like what is the right definition or approach to love? Because we personally have our own journeys, right? Like we go through our childhood, adolescence, adulthood, and we build a perspective, a perception of love. So I thought it was interesting to kind of like dive a little bit deeper into a discussion and to be like, what is love? Is love stoicism? Is it more of a feeling? Is it a discipline? Is it an action? So, welcome back to the podcast and tell me what you think about it.
Yeah, so I think you're totally correct about like you can have so many different definitions, not only about love but about everything, right? And I have given feelings or feelings or emotions a bit of a thought before when I'm been thinking about like stoicism and such, because you know that everyone thinks that stoics are unemotional and such. And yeah, I think it's the same with love. Everyone have their own uh, description of it or definition, and I see it as a feeling. Uh, uh, and it was funny because you posted this question about like define love with one word, and I think that's really hard. I even think that you can't do it, and I guess that's why we are recording a entire podcast on it.
Yes,
Uh,
great point.
yeah. So when I thought about it in one word, I think I posted the communities.
Yes.
In To be honest, it was just the first thing that turned up in my head, and it's basically it's basically because I think like in communities you really have um, the like it's really set up for you to be loved and love everyone in the community. So that's one place where you can really uh, feel love, and yeah,
I love that.
I th-
Yeah.
yeah, I
Yeah,
think
that
that's
that's
where I
really
kind
good point.
yeah, yeah, I think so.
And yeah, and it's like it's so difficult to like describe it into one word because it is kind of like all encompassing, multi-dimensional kind of thing. Because when we do experience the idea of love, we're kind of looking at it from the direction of what is the expectation to it. And sometimes expectation can be a personal expectation, or sometimes it is from a community perspective. And like you mentioned, it is so true, the importance of community, but it is also kind of interesting that the antithesis happens often with like more modern modern ways of living where people kind of think they are rebelliously wanting to like leave the community or wanting to forge a brand new path. And maybe years and years ago, they felt compelled to do that because maybe they weren't being accepted or they weren't feeling love. But that's such a interesting thing to recognize that community is actually a grounding force. So then seeing what kind of community are you a part of? Are you a part of a loving community? And to people that are in the community, do they see love as unconditional as well? Or are there different narcissistic factors that are connected? Because so many people flee from different kind of communities and societies when the love is not, conscious love. And it's more kind of like
Yeah.
conditional, where it's like you're expected to do something for it to receive it. So I do think the correct way to love is within a community and hopefully one that is conscious and open to kind of pure love, right?
Yeah, I guess you have to like have a core value that is based on like caring of other people and not just yourself. So you can be part of like a business community where you have these networking events. I guess they might sometimes be great as well, but if you have like, um, I've actually written down two examples about communities in my life that are like based on uh, yeah, each other instead of uh, just me. And the first one is like I'm a ice hockey supporter, and our team really sucked for like my entire life. We are pretty good now, but all the people I've met in the past, we have been going through like so many feelings together, and every other team or were picking on us and such. And I think that over time created a feeling about it's us against the world, or and yeah, I think that feelings really uh, got us together because we no other team can have the same feelings as us. Maybe they have the same feeling in another team as well, but not. We can only share it together, and I think that's a really good community to be in. And the other one is I'm training at a athletes club. I don't think that you have that kind of clubs in the US. So it's like we have clubs for everything. Like it's like a football club or a soccer
Mhm.
club, but it's just about like training weightlifting and powerlifting. And we are staying there for like uh, a few hours or
Wow.
maybe 5 or 6 hours when we
Um,
doesn't have anything else to do. And when we are there, we are just talking about all problems we have in our lives and helping each other, not only in the training, but in like everything. And yeah, so we share everything with everyone. And yeah, I think that's creating a great community as well of love. So
yes, yes, that's so important. I love how you mentioned that. It's so true. And I think that makes the distinction between unconscious love and conscious love. And
yeah,
when we mention unconscious love, it's totally about yourself, the one self, a narcissistic approach to kind of evaluating your ego, your soul. kind of identity, and that's very self-serving. And normally, when we're children, that's our time to kind of be self-serving and to like, say mine, mine, to figure out your identity and what's yours so you can grow up, hopefully in a healthy way, a holistic way, that when you are an adult, even a teenager, when you're growing up in the process, you're able to kind of feel your kindness and experience love, like you mentioned, in a community, in a healthy, safe community, when you're helping one another reach a mutual goal or some kind of mission. So often when there's businesses happening and they have a core mission, there's so much love in that kind of community, you can say, because they're trying to support each other to achieve something. So that's also
Y-
kind of a great thing
Yeah,
about consciousness.
yeah, and I think a core thing here is that having a harsh time together, because that really get you together, and uh, it
That's
forces you
actually, yeah,
to
yeah.
help each other. So yeah, harsh times can be really good in this case, I guess.
Yes, it's so true. Like when you're going through struggles, that totally reveals part of your personality and within whoever's around you, because oftentimes when there is struggle, that's where ego is tested the most. And it's like you either run or you stay and fight. And in a way, that is also revealing your character towards love, towards compassion. And I feel like so many of us who are empaths or who are going through like a spiritual journey of figuring out the purpose of life and all these things, love is usually at the center of it because it makes us feel included. And it is a big part of our purpose, I feel, to help other humans feel included. It's like whatever community you're in, you're kind of building a community whenever you're lending a hand and helping another human out. And I think like the journey to conscious love is a very spiritual journey as well, because if you're allowing your ego to kind of like take a step back or take a seat for a second and you're saying, what is the higher purpose here? What is the spiritual destiny that I can help? And I feel like also unconscious love, when it's not seen through a spiritual lens, it can become very addictive. And obviously, so many of us have experienced that before, where we want something that feels good for a short time, and we're not necessarily thinking of the long term effects. And that happens in adolescence when we're so rebellious, we want to just run away, we want to have a new experience, exciting momentum. And that's when oftentimes people go through a difficult time afterwards. But they want to experience that, I guess, excitement. And oftentimes that excitement is actually connected to some kind of trauma, that there's like a fear of being like still. And it's kind of going back to how we talked about in other podcasts about like stoicism and that discipline. I feel like that will help so much with love.
Yeah, definitely. And I really like that you said that, like, you talked a little bit about like giving and such. And I think that uh, when I've been thinking about like happiness before, I I think that the greatest way that you can feel happiness is to just give something to someone without expecting anything back. And so it can just be like, yeah, basically anything where you just do it without, you know that you won't get anything back from it. And I think happiness is really close to the feeling of love. So giving someone something without expecting anything back is really powerful, I think. And in communities, in this case, you might expect anything, something back, but that shouldn't be the reason for you to like give. So when someone share something, you might uh, you might expect them to listen to you when you have problems, right? But still, it's a powerful tool to just help them without thinking about what you can get back from it.
Yes, 100%. I actually even included this kind of rule in one of my guidebooks towards finding true love. And like a big part of it is you have to go through like a cycle, whether it's like a month or something period of time where you are just giving unconditionally and to feel the feelings that happen with that. It's kind of it's opening up the cells. I feel like it's unlocking some kind of freedom code in the right body or something like that because it really does shift your whole perception and your whole identity. And I feel like it also boosts your self esteem and confidence because you're kind of connecting with the universe, which is, all giving. And you're a part of that and you're including yourself in that journey of giving. And I think that there's a little bit of a shift when you do happen to come into a relationship. Those rules sometimes change because you also have to kind of be aware of your partner. And if you're an empath and you're highly sensitive and you are generally inclined to give, you have to also be aware to receive. And that's also part of the love discussion where a lot of empaths would feel fine to unconditionally give, but then they'll feel uncomfortable to receive. So when that happens, I feel like we have to kind of go through inner child work to discover or uncover why you feel uncomfortable to receive. But I totally love what you mentioned about the unconditional giving. It's probably the most important thing to love because that action and that connecting feeling with the action totally begins the manifesting process. And I feel like love is a manifesting. It connects to the universe with the now moments and it helps to co-create something greater.
Yeah, and that ties back to what we talked about, like good or bad communities, where uh, good communities is based on like something else than you, and bad communities are probably often based on like me getting richer or getting anything else from the other in the
Yeah,
community.
exactly. And it's like when your unconscious ego is loyal to something that's like detached from good morals, then you become loyal to like something dark and it might on the way be long
Yeah,
lasting because if you have a strong foundation of loyalty to the pureness, to the unconditional view, you're aligning yourself to your higher timelines. You'll be able to feel more just confident and joyful because you're going to be doing the right thing. And people who are on a spiritual journey, they want to be aligned because when they are aligned, universal flow of creation, they're going to feel inspired to connect all parts of consciousness within the now moment. And that's where the magic happens, right? Like that's where co-creation can lead to so many abundant things.
yeah, and um, we also, or you talked about um, like the time before and such, where uh, or before internet, and I want to say something about that as well, because I think that um, way back when you only have your um, or had your family or and your like your tribe, back then you probably had a great community where everyone fought for each other, but uh, it's totally different today. And I think that today you um, we have internet, and you can, I guess you can find really good communities there, and it's actually a great opportunity to find communities, because you can find people around the world that are nerding out on like the tiniest niche that you can't find people in your real life caring about. But at the same time, you can. Uh, it's so much bad things happening everywhere, so it's hard to find the right uh, like yeah environment there as well. And I think that's where uh, true communities, where or like uh, old old to real life
Right.
communities are important, like the
Yes.
athlete club I talked about, where you actually meet people, and you don't have to engage with them all the time. You can stay quiet for an hour and then talk a little bit and such. So yeah, we live in a new environment since the internet came along. So, and I think it's both good and bad, and I think that it's really important that you have those real life communities as well.
That's a really great point, especially it's a great message for like the teens and the younger people who are actually really like like kind of like the internet is their life, and they kind of use and abuse that form of connection because not even like connecting to that idea of having the option of meeting people from around the world because they're even more like detached and isolated, and I feel like they're not even aware of the gift that brings. And one thing might be because they're in their rebellious timeline and they just want to like get away from all of the norms that they're used to. But it is totally true like what you said, that going to like a gym or connecting with people like even in silence, that's completely how it should be actually. Because like when I grew up dancing ballet, we had a few days a week. We got together in our dance studio and we were just dancing. We didn't have, conversation. It's actually dance of silence, right? So we had to just listen to the choreography to our teacher, or whether we're having a rehearsal, we had to just kind of like deal with the steps and try to work on it together. And this is also like bonding experience. This is also like connecting community for like a higher purpose or mission. We have to prepare for a recital or a performance. And it helps it helps that love muscle. It helps the conscious love muscle because they're building on that awareness. And I also think it's really important to allow kids that space. Like parents should encourage kids to like go to the gym, go to dance, learn an instrument, go to science class, do something that connects creativity with your community. And then I feel like that's where you're going to build a really good idea of what is love, how to participate in the act of love like holistically. And then there's going to be less desire to run away or to just go on the internet and not really understand the value of it, because connecting on the internet is a beautiful thing when you're aware. Like before you mentioned, what is your value? It's like it's so true. Once you know your value, you can just have so much fun. Like we're connecting, right? We found each other online. So it's like people can do the same thing. They can connect a value online and then bring it to the present, bring it to like a community moment where they're just physically together or they're physically connected. So that's a really, really good point. I love that.
Yeah, and I loved what you said about like taking your kids to those places, because I think that it helps you with. Sure, we are talking about love now, but it helps the children to like especially in like team sports or where you have to work together. uh, it teaches you to like show respect to everyone in the team, and maybe especially to the kid that isn't that great, because that kid is also very important for the team to succeed. So yeah, it forces you to show respect and teaches you how to work in a team where the team is more important than yourself, because no one cares about how good you are if the team loses the game, right? So yeah,
That's a
having
fantastic.
kids in, sorry.
That's a fantastic point. That is so true. I remember my friend who actually went through like a love trauma of unrequited love, where, she went through all these emotions and feelings of betrayal and all these things that normally, that's part of our journey, right? We have to go through heartbreak and all those things. And I think her parents put her into some kind of like soccer soccer team or soccer game or something. And then when I saw her like a few months later, like her personality was completely different. She was so much more like in her masculine energy, but like in a healthy way, where she felt more confident and she felt more like herself than ever before. It's so interesting how this kind of lifestyle really helps to heal heartbreak. Even it starts to put you into the mindset of, yeah, like you mentioned, something that's not only you, because that's so exhausting, right? To be focused only on you. Like, it's
Yeah,
exhausting and it's like pointless, because sure, you can do that, but like see where it leads you. This idea of like hyper independence, it's very isolationist. It's like an isolation kind of feeling. And you're dealing with yourself. So to be aware of that and to realize that, it's a really important thing for our young generation, because it might be like a trend, or it might be trendy for a while, but long term, being in a community, we have to have like something that builds teamwork. And I love actually that idea of teamwork, because like that phrase, teamwork makes the dream. It's like wherever you are a part of a team, this this heightens your ability to succeed and to go after something that that makes you feel worthy and gives you more worth and value, because you feel like you're moving towards something that's that's purposeful. And I think we all connect, or we should connect love to purpose, right?
yeah, yeah. I haven't thought about that
Can you
so much,
share?
but it totally makes sense, because like I really think that uh, purpose is probably the most important thing for your health, or at least your mental health.
Yes.
So yeah, you really have to work on that. And love is you. I always see um, all the emotions as a spectrum. So you have like the positive feeling, and you have the negative feeling, and yeah, it's a spectrum in between them. And so in this case, I guess you have love and hate, and you should always try, for your mental health, you should try to like force yourself to be more on the positive side, even if it's really hard from time to time. um, yeah, and I think all these uh, different feelings have like, when you're having a strong purpose in life, you are forcing all of the feelings to be more on the positive side of the spectrum.
Yes, that's so true. Yes. And then when you are doing that, you become kind of, we talked about being more confident, but also we will feel more seen, because we're gonna be more seen and more understood in a way, because You're kind of allowing yourself to give yourself value. And when you do that, it's like you're gonna inspire others even. So I feel like this whole journey of like love, consciousness, and connecting back to inner child, it's really bringing into focus that idea of connecting with love as something that's worth of value, and that's through positive intention, positive emotion. When we do kind of focus on that ability, we're able to kind of do so many things because I feel like love is the most powerful emotion. And when we're able to productively use that, that's when the great things start materializing in front of us. And it does take time though, because it does take effort and it's a progression. That's why when people think that it takes so long, or maybe when people are like figuring out their journey, they're like, I haven't found my partner yet, or you're going through depression about that. It does take time because it takes time to become aligned to yourself. And I feel like the more you put yourself out there with integrity and intention, you're going to naturally kind of attract those people and those realities and those communities into your space because you're showing who you are and what you're able to give. And then you have to kind of like see how the universe puts itself back to you.
Yeah. And if you think about, I guess that uh, if you're say that you're in those bad communities that we talked about before, but if you are having a strong purpose and uh, you feel have a strong feeling of love and all other positive feelings when you're entering that environment, then you might find people in there that you really can connect to. So even if the purpose from the beginning was solely to make me richer, it it might become a opportunity to really connect to people there without the purpose of getting rich, and the outcome will probably be that you can make business together and both of you will get rich anyways, but it starts from where you really connect to the other person and getting a great relationship with them.
Yes, totally. And I think that's where the shift happens, right? It's like from the unconscious to the conscious. That is the fear element. It's like normally people stay in unconscious circumstances of love or even communities when there is like a fear there and they feel afraid of stepping out of that bubble that perhaps that's how they were raised or they grew up in, or their friends groups kind of show them, no, this is how it is. But then when you grow up, it's kind of your responsibility to see your surroundings. And it's so true. Like when you mention having a purpose, I mean, you're not led by fear. You're not being kind of like controlled by fear. You'll be able to move around and shift, and maybe you'll be the teacher of your community. You'll be the one who's leading the future because you have something that is worth so much. And perhaps you have been on the spiritual journey, so you have been integrating all different kinds of aspects of your ancestral self. So perhaps you're the new leader of this community. We're going to create and build a new community with people that want to create something as well. So I think that's also great that you mentioned, like connecting with people and helping each other kind of build it.
Yeah, totally. I totally agree. So you get that love uh, part of it, but the you get so much other things out of it. Like, yeah, you get a better, you becomes a better leader and everything that you were talking about. So yeah, I think
Hopefully, yeah,
going
yeah,
into just make good relationships is great way to get everything else in life as well.
Exactly. And it's like that's the first step of being vulnerable. And on our journey of evolution and humanness, I think that's a great lesson for all of our listeners and just for anybody we come into contact with at our friend group and family. And I feel like vulnerability is a great kind of like part of our activation and awakening. Like we give ourselves the gift to be vulnerable. And it's challenging and it's sometimes uncomfortable and then it's sometimes beautiful because we see the results or we feel the results. We feel our higher self and we feel like, good job. That was a really good job, on your work, on your lesson, learning, integrating all these different kind of like realities and potentials and to be vulnerable probably also means just sharing your views and your values and even if they might not be typical or like everybody else, that's also the risk you take. And if it, when it does come to conscious love, that's a risk too. You have to be open to that criticism, feeling rejected, or like sometimes even in your team, you might fall that day or you might do a bad job. But it doesn't mean that you have to put yourself down after that or you have to criticize. You just have to kind of regroup and see where was the mistake or where was the what happened because that's also part of life and love is we do have fights, we do have misunderstandings, conflict, and then a big part of coming back together and finding a common ground of community, whether it's like after a bad rehearsal or after a bad argument. It's like we have to learn conflict resolution. And that also takes strong vulnerability and to kind of not have so much fear about ego again and to embrace that part of love as well as part of a holistic conflict resolution we are able to come together and work things out.
Yeah, totally. And we talked about like harsh times are creating
Exactly. Yes.
greater communities and a feeling of love. And I guess this is when you're opening up yourself, you're sharing your own hard time to the partner or community, and it has to start with that, right? If you don't have any, if you don't share anything, you won't ever get that connection where you can truly love someone or love a community or something like that.
Yes, I love it. So let's now close with let each choose three words that we think love is about. So after our conversation, I feel like, and you can't even put it into three words, but if we had to choose the three words to define love, I would say a teamwork because this conversation inspired me to go to teamwork. So love is teamwork, vulnerability, and presence. That's my thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, what
All
it
right.
is.
Um, then I choose um, harsh times.
I think that's true.
And I choose. Oh, this is a real hard one. um,
How about fearless? Is fearless a good one too?
Sorry.
Fearless is fearless good.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah, and also I can't remember if you said it among your three, but consciousness.
Yes. Yes, exactly. Consciousness, that means that you're like aware and you're able to experience it and see it fully. And that's like the greatest gifts we can each give ourselves and each other. Like, the gift of conscious love. And I think that's a great, like, what a great conversation. I love this talk about love and conscious love and ascension. So thank you, Alex, so much for coming back on the podcast. I'm sure our listeners will love this topic and hope that they'll be inspired to also grow in their conscious love and you feel more spiritually aligned to their purpose. And where can people connect with you and see their content?
So Twitter or
Twitter.
X is the best place.
Yes, okay, cool.
So just find me there and send me a DM if you want to discuss something. I think that's the
Okay.
best way.
Yes, lovely. Thank you so much for coming back on.
Thank you for having me. It was really lovely.